USA to ban all DJI drones? Got that coming up next. Bill the Drone Reviewer here. If you like the content of this video or anything on my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. With that, let's begin. The other night, I hosted Broder Talk Live and was joined by Mr. Marcus Crawford and Mr. Ron Brown. We spent the better part of the evening discussing all the latest regarding legislation proposed in the House of Representatives to ban all DJI drones, and we also had a very special surprise guest who you all know. So without any further ado, let's roll that clip in its entirety.
Bill, first, have you seen Haya Kestelu's article on Drone XL today?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Well, we can talk about that later then, but I can kind of just give you the essence of it. It really talks about how there is such a remote chance of that bill even getting out of committee in the House. And if it got out of committee in the House, it would have to get past the Senate, which it is unlikely to do. And even if it got past the Senate, the president would have to sign it. So
yeah,
even getting out of committee is going to be tough in the House. But it's still this constant drumbeat. So I'll let you get back to it. But I just wanted to point that out, that we shouldn't panic too much.
Right. And what I want to do to get this segment started off with was I'm going to read this. It's called HR 6572, Countering CCP Drones Act. Okay. And I think it's important. And now I've dropped the link in the description so you guys can go ahead and take a look at this here.
And just to clarify, Bill, what we're going to talk about now has nothing to do with these states banning the
right. This is completely
these are two different stories. Yeah,
exactly. This is completely separate separate issue here.
Yeah, and I think we've all made our thoughts known on the states banning the enterprise drones from DJI and Autel. The reason they have all DJI and Autel drones is they perform the best for them in the field. So that's why they have these drones. They just don't get them because they, just by chance or whatever. And, they're basically doing this ban on no physical evidence that they're showing us. We're got to take it on faith that they know something that they're not telling. And the bottom line is, if you're lost or you need help from a first responder, you're going to have an inferior drone looking for you now. Under these new rules and regulations. Marcus? Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, Ron, I think, and we'll talk about this here in a minute, but I think that's more of an important issue than this bill that we're going to talk about. Go ahead, Marcus. You were going to say something?
Well, other than the fact that, I acknowledge that there's no question that DJI is harvesting data just like every other company does. I was telling Ron, I went to buy a pair of shoes yesterday and they wanted my name and address and, they wanted all that information about it. So companies thrive on harvesting data. And the question is then what?
And selling that data to other sources too, that your data is constantly sold over and over. So that's the world we live in.
That's a good point. You just distilled what I was trying to say down in one statement, Ron. Exactly right.
Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and read parts of this. It's not lengthy, but I thought it's important to read this. First of all, this bill was introduced on 2/2 of 2022. Okay.
Yeah, that's the old bill number you have up there. That's the bill that already, it may be the same exact wording, but that's the old number. Yeah.
Now, this bill requires the inclusion of telecommunications and video surveillance equipment or services produced or provided by Shenzhen Dajang Innovations, the Sciences and Technologies Company Limited, a Chinese drone maker commonly known as DJI Technologies, on a list of communications equipment or services determined by the Federal Communications Commission to pose an unacceptable risk to U.S. national security. Current law prohibits the use of federal funding available through specified FCC programs for purchasing or maintaining listed equipment or services. Now, the text of the bill, and the one thing that I want to read here is, it talks about this. telecommunications or video surveillance equipment produced by, okay, and it's DJI, telecommunications or video surveillance services provided by, and that's DJI, okay. It's saying this is amended by striking paragraphs 1 through 4 from the original bill and place it from what we just read here, okay. Now, the one thing that I wanted to talk about with all this is, okay, and I think this is important, is they made this language very broad and they made it very inclusive. And, as far as, because, my first thought was when I watched the video from Pilot Institute, read through everything, read through all the comments, read through all the links, read through everything. And my thought goes to what Hey Kesterly said. Okay. One thing that I want to remind people, and go back to your 9th grade civics. All right. A bill gets introduced in the House. Okay. Do you know how many bills a year get introduced in the House and never make it out of committee? Okay. There are hundreds, if not thousands of them that never make it out of committee. If it's fortunate enough to pass that committee, it gets presented to the whole House for a vote. All right. And if it's fortunate enough to pass the vote in the House, it then goes to the Senate. All right. And the Senate is even more stickler. Okay. And one of the things that you find, which is real, it's not party lines either here. Okay. This is something that has been universally talked about on both sides, both Republican and Democrat. It doesn't matter. Both of them are really pushing the narrative about DJI. All right. And nothing. And I mean, and I know you guys know this. There has been, I guess, at least 2 or maybe 3 independent studies about this has shown nothing. There's DJI is not leaking any data. There's no data going over to Shenzhen.
They're harvesting data,
right?
Like every other company, and we willingly do that when we upload to DJI. That's our data. That's our flight logs.
That's in that I accept button. Whenever you always have an I accept button before you start using any tech product, and that's in the fine print that they make you read before you hit the I accept button.
And when we register our drone, they know our address and that business, right? Like every other company that does. The only thing you can say about China is that they don't need a backdoor and software or anything, because they have like Lon said yesterday, they have the keys to the front door. They have the ability to go to any company and say, hey, give us the data. And they have no choice. They have to do it. So, but again, is that any different than the shopping that you do on Banggood or that new TikTok or, all the rest of that? All of these companies are harvesting our data. They're all doing it.
Yeah.
And Bill, can I just mention something real quick? Sure. We had a little kind of incident on Drone Nation last night at the end of the show where somebody was disputing the fact that there was information. And what Alex Foley, what's Alex Foley's real name, Marcus?
Kevin, I don't want to pronounce it wrong. Let me look it up. Finister, yeah. I believe it is. Yeah.
Anyhow, Kevin discovered in 2006, 2007 Air that a vulnerability in DJI servers. He was able to hack into DJI servers and get private information of users. Okay, Bill?
Okay.
And it was a bounty program. And it's even either a High Kessler article or Drone Nation article, and I'll link that someplace soon. But Marcus sent it to me. But I think what this bill's trying to say, Stefan's not saying that there's a back door. She's saying that, just like you quoted a lot of saying, Stefan's saying there's a front door. They're just handing information over to the Chinese government, and that's really not what Kevin found out. He found a backdoor was a vulnerability, but again, that's a whole different conversation than them willingly giving data over to the Chinese military.
And also what he found was in the Go4 app in 2017. So it is dated information too.
Yeah. But it's a whole different subject. That's a backdoor hack. That's not DJI just, handing the Chinese military the information.
Well, hey, Bill, I see Bob Dempsey says he's got some information for us as well. So I don't know if he's available. We could even send him a link. So
Bob, if you want, I can send you a link. Email.
I'll take care of that, Bill.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
I would have had Bob on our show last night, but Bob was busy with a much more important issue last night.
Watching
the
Vegas
Golden Knights hockey game.
2-0 lead against the Florida Panthers. So that's a real surprise. That is just an absolute real surprise.
Yeah. Sorry to derail the show a little bit, Bill, but I just wanted to make the things clear. There's two different things in play here. A lot of people are saying, about DJI defending DJI and them having been able to hack in the back door. That's not good. But like Mark said, maybe they fixed that back door, maybe they haven't. But that's not what Stefani's trying to say. She's trying to say they're willingly working with the Chinese government, which, again, I haven't seen proof of that.
Okay.
There is proof that it was a backdoor in 2016.
One of the things I wanted to roll into this conversation, okay, the leaks from the DJI Air 3 are coming fast and furious. All right. Now, one of the other conversations I heard today is that how they can ban drones is they can put pressure on the FCC not to approve them. All right.
Right.
So I think we're going to see that Air 3 sooner rather than very soon, in a very rapid fashion.
You
saw the picture yesterday. So they had Igor had a picture of the box. You see the picture of the box, that means that it's real close.
Yeah. I thought it was pronounced Igor.
Oh, well, maybe your guy's Igor. My guy's Igor.
Yeah. The movie Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Igor. Yeah. But that's one thing, I let off with a picture of that. Here's Bob. Welcome, Bob. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me. I've been in on this conversation. I've been listening here.
But Bob, did the Golden Knights give you the night off tonight?
Yes.
Okay. Bob's an assistant coach from his sofa in his den.
Right. They have to have me there,
But Bob, I would have loved to have you in the show last night, but I did not even ask because I knew you'd be busy.
Thank you. It was an exciting night, I have to tell you. So anyway, I spoke with two different people who are the public affairs people working in Washington, D.C. for DJI. I've been having multiple conversations with them, both about this federal law, which I agree with Marcus, what he said earlier. I spoke with my U.S. Senator, and this 6572 law one is probably dead meat, is what they're indicating to me. But I really think that the purpose here was we should, if we have a community and we all have an interest, we should all be writing our lawmakers, find out who they are, and at least vocalize or write them a letter, send them an email. Most of them have email. Most of them had phone numbers, so that will accept your opposition or support of any bills, kind of thing. And you're able to, record a couple minutes to tell your lawmaker what you want to do, what you want them to do.
So Bob, what did you find out from DJI? What did they tell you?
Well, we were talking mostly about there was a bill in Nevada that snuck through, and we're now trying to figure out what our next steps are. I've actually testified here in Nevada at the Nevada legislature. There's the same group, the Blue UAV group, and as you may know, there's one that's actually located in Nevada, this Blang or something like that drone. I'm trying to remember the name of them. Brang, I think, something like that. They make a drone that's made to go into a hazardous material event, and that's all they make is this one drone. But they joined in with all of these other lobbyists, and so a lobbyist added an amendment to a bill that the bill was for building inspectors to be able to use a drone to inspect the property. They tacked onto it that no municipality can use a drone from China or any drone that's on the federal, do not buy list. And to be honest with you, it snuck through. I did testify on it and worked hard, but it got passed at like midnight last night at the deadline.
Oh no.
Yeah. So that's what happened.
So just let me make sure I understand it, Bob. So what they're saying is in Nevada, you cannot use a Chinese-made drone to inspect a house or to use in a hazmat event. What is the scope of it?
The scope of the bill was period for municipalities, period. Fire departments, police departments, it's virtually the cut and paste from the Florida law bill that kind of thing. So it was virtually that those three sections of the bill there were cut and paste basically from the Florida and the Arkansas, or was it Arkansas or Alabama?
You got it right, Arkansas.
It's Arkansas and Alabama,
yeah. So,
in the article that I read, and I don't know if you were listening then, Bob, but this has cost Florida taxpayers $25 million because the legislature just allocated $25 million for replacement drones, and I'm like scratching my head. And I think the thing here, and this transcends either both party lines, because I mean it's both Republican and Democrats have been just really adamant about DJI in banning these drones and everything, and it just and I've seen some talk in some forums that do they know something that we don't know? And I'm just like, I'm really kind of scratching my head on that one, because, this is coming from both sides of the aisle. It doesn't matter, Republican or Democrat. They're saying we're going to ban these drones and it's counterterrorism. And, but nobody has offered any proof. Nobody said anything. Well, like Huawei, okay. When they got banned, they got caught with their hand in a cookie jar. I mean, it was out front. Everybody knew it.
They were able to see the code.
Yeah, you saw the code. It was right there. But with this, there's nothing. And any audits that have been done have shown that DJI has been clean.
And Bob, tell Bill about what you found out about the DJI. All their information go to servers on Amazon, right, Bob?
Well, that's kind of how they've indicated to me it's all going on. He said in France, all the data goes to a server in France. In Germany, all it goes to a server in Germany. In the United States, he says it goes to a very large corporate server that's based in the United States. And I said AWS, and he goes, I can't say, So, and I also, I had a conversation with the technology person in my U.S. Senator's office. And we had a conversation for about 30 minutes from Washington, D.C. to my spot right here in Las Vegas. And he was very up to date on what's going on. I mean, it wasn't like I had to educate them at all about the technology or the drones or the 900-pound gorilla in the room or any of that. He was all very well aware of that. Did kind of seem like, when I said there's absolutely no evidence, he goes, well, he says there's no evidence that you know about, and he says that you don't know everything that there is to know, so he kind of like maybe hinted that there was more things that they know. And, I mean, it's a conceived threat. And I guarantee you, I'm sure that this example is going to probably straighten this problem out, is that there's more data here on this phone than there's ever been on any of my drones. And the Chinese components in this device here, are more than capable of being on the internet and transmitting this to anywhere in China.
Probably more sophisticated than the inside of the drone.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So I mean, if they're going to, we combined our economies with China about 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Started with
if
Nixon's
we
trip,
today said we're going to cut off everything from China, and we did that, China's economy would crash, our economy would crash, our way of life would change. Period.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
you
we
know-
would have a global disaster.
And I gotta and Dr. Ted put this up here, and I want to talk on this. Okay, from a ham radio standpoint, there's an organization called ARRL, American Radio Relay League, and there are, I don't want to call them NRA, but there are lobbyist group for ham radio enthusiasts. Okay, they protect the bands. They try to influence legislation for the good for ham radio for everybody. Okay. Now, I agree. I think we need to have something representing us, Part 107 hobbyists. I'm not talking about corporate. I'm talking about us. Okay.
No.
Everybody that's in the scope of this broadcast, you're a hobbyist. You're a Part 107 person. Okay. Or even Part 108, even those would need to be in the scope of this because it affects us. And, one of the things that overriding, I think what we need to do is, yes, we need to contact our representatives, our congressmen and senators, but let's ask the right questions. Okay. And one of the questions that we need to ask is, okay, we're seeing all these bans. What type of evidence do you have? I mean, this has gone on for a while here. Okay. Now this is even going back, and this is not meant to ruffle anybody's feathers. This started with President Trump. Okay. And it's continuing with President Biden. Okay. And it hasn't lost momentum. Okay. It hasn't stopped. So I'm thinking that somewhere in this intelligence community, there's something there that they have, but it boggles my mind here. Okay. Why people would want to know, okay, what the outside of my retirement community looks like, why people wanted to see that lake that we used to live on our previous property, and Ron flying over Lucy and Margate, and Marcus out of Snake River Canyon. I mean, what in the world kind of data are they going to get from this?
And
all
Bob
that
over the
data
Red
is
Rocks.
huh? What's that?
I said, and Bob over the Red Rocks.
Yes, I have
didn't want you
been
left out, Bob.
Yes. All that data is on Google Earth at this moment. They could probably, if anybody wanted to see what I see, it's already there.
Okay, I'll counter that argument though, Bob. What's on Google Earth is likely old information, right? A month or two, or maybe even longer than that old. So if it's a huge amount of data, but there's a lot of drones up in the air, so you could probably get more current looks at things with drones. So that's just
I agree.
And of course,
Yes,
there's
you
all that
could.
useful information on TikTok that they're getting too. All those kids dancing is very useful. To the Chinese
really?
military.
That dancing thing, I mean,
that's very useful to the Chinese military. But Bob, here's a question. But Bill said about the data and the organizations or our security organizations. Here, this is just opinion. Bob, do you think the Stefanik and everybody that's trying to get drones banned, they get more information from lobbyists, or they get more information from, we'll say, the combination of CIA, FBI, and what's the other, NSA? Which group are they getting most of their information from?
Donors. That's who they're getting their information from.
Skydio, boom, boom. Skydio,
The people that are donating to their future campaigns, people that have a purpose to communicate to a senator, to hire people. We talked on drone therapy the other night. Maybe we should start a PAC, drone political action committee to stick up for.
We can send our own lobbyists down there to Washington with a bag full of money, and we, like you said, Bob, the quickest way to make this bill go away is to go down with a bag full of money.
I think so, I hate to say that. I mean, I believe Citizens United should be taken care of and gone away, and we take money out of politics. I think that's the most corrupt thing of our community, of our life, but that's again, I don't want to start a political conversation.
Right.
And Bill, back to your point about the security organization like FBI and CIA, we still see reports all the time that they're still using these DJI drones. Even though they're banned the government, they still use them because it's their best tool for some of the jobs they need to get done. And of course, if you're the CIA or whatever, I mean, who's really checking up on you anyways if you're using a DJI drone to do some spying or what have you?
Well, the CIA and the NSA are in a league of their own. And, all I have to say is, and I don't know if you guys have ever watched this, and this isn't a political statement, but watch the movie Snowden, okay? You will learn so much, and it's accurate, okay? Yeah. That movie is very accurate in terms of what happened. And, quite frankly, it's a miracle he's still alive, okay? I know he's over in Russia. And I think his girlfriend is now with him over in Russia.
Bill, you make a great point. We're so worried about China. We spied, the U.S. government spied on its own citizens probably more than China ever did.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you think about, and people laugh when, they're saying, they're watching you through your TV. Don't laugh, okay?
Samsung.
There's a lot of things that you don't,
Well, they're going to get real bored watching me sit on the easy chair and doze off through the TV.
Yeah, and it'd be the same thing in this house as well too. Okay, they'd be seeing Valerie and I, doing our head bobs like this. Okay?
I'm gonna the poor guy that's got to watch me in front of the TV. That guy's got a bad job because he's 8 hours. That guy hasn't done anything in 8 hours except get up and use the bathroom.
Yeah, and, so
there's a camera in there.
And I think Bob has a point here. I think there's money behind this. Okay. Where that money's coming from, don't really know. The talk has been, Marcus is saying Skydio, and I've heard other people say Skydio too, but I think it's a lot more money than that. And it doesn't make. And the thing to me is, okay, let's say this, and this is just for grins and giggles. All right, let's say Skydio was almost of a league of DJI. All right. I could see that happening. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see this happening. Let's say they had 3 or 4 drones, and they were wanting to make a statement here, and I could see this happening, and them trying to push DJI out. All right, but they don't have that kind of financial backing and support. So where this money's coming from, I don't know. It's as Bob Seger said long in the 70s, working on mysteries without any clues. Okay? Seriously, this is what this is, because it's like you go down a rabbit hole here and you find there's nothing. You go down this other rabbit hole and there's nothing here. Okay. And the only common thread throughout all this, okay, both sides of the aisle are like, yeah, we don't want DJI drones here. All right. And that's the only thing I can find in common right now.
But we brought this up on a show recently too. Remember back in the 80s when Honda and Toyota started making inroads here in the car industry, and they were going to get banned at one point or something, banned, but shut down. And then they agreed to start building plants in the U.S. and building cars here. And all of a sudden, all that trouble went away. You think it'd be the same thing with DJI? If they would start building plants and building drones here, all this fuss would slowly fade away?
Boy, you know what? That is so spot on, Ron, because, okay, imagine this, all right, that they would start employing Americans building these drones, okay? Well, it's like, okay, all of a sudden, there are so many Toyota, there are more Toyota and Honda plants here in the United States than there are over in Japan, all right? And same for I think Hyundai and Kia, they have more plants here than they do overseas, okay?
I'll tell you one better, Ron. In the old days with motorcycles, they banned any Japanese motorcycles over 700 cc's for like 5 or 6 years. That's why you couldn't buy a 750; you had to buy a 700, and that was the Harley-Davidson rule that allowed Harley.
Because the small Japanese bikes, like the small Honda stuff, almost put Harley-Davidson out of business in the 60s and early 70s.
Yeah, late 70s, early 80s. Yeah, Honda
90s or whatever they were.
Yeah. So this this is going to be an ongoing discussion. And Bob, you know, you're more than welcome. And, you know, ping me and let me know if you have some interesting information. I'll be more than happy to get you on Tuesday nights.
Well, I have to tell you, the thing about the employment was one of the representatives for my U.S. senator had to say. He said, you know, if they wanted to start building drones here and hire a few 100,000 people, you know, I mean, we everybody would have a different outlook. Is that that came from
that bill will go away, Bob.
I truly believe that's definitely a concern. You know, it's always been my contention. I think Apple Computers should have bought DJI. I
was just going to say that.
You know, it would have been just a perfect fit. You know.
Question for the panel: how many Chinese parts are there inside this Skydio?
That thing would probably be like
all of them.
Probably wouldn't be there. Marcus took the Chinese parts away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's the same true with all these other, the teal and the, you know, all these other blue UAS drones. I mean, it is still the same component. They are sourcing components from China.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing that people don't realize, okay? Because, you know, the first time, whenever we had discussions and talk about this, probably over a year ago, and people were like, oh, well, Autel, you know, they're a United States company. I'm like, time out, okay? Time out here, okay? Yeah, they have a headquarters up in Washington State, all right? But that's all that is a headquarters. Everything else is done over in China, all right?
I remember going to CES, and every name tag in the Autel booth said Shenzhen on the bottom of it.
Yep. That's exactly right. Well, here's the other thing with all this language and all this, okay? This isn't just drones, okay? This would apply it said their technologies. So this would apply to their gimbals. This would apply like Osmo Actions, any of the cameras, all of that. I mean, it's all encompassing. That's how broad scope.
Agriculture.
Bill, what did you get out of the bill as far as you know, they're going to go through the FCC and try not to have them not approve new devices. But what's that mean for our older drones and older DJI devices?
There's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do with that, because if the FCC's approved it, they can't say, "Oh, oops, we're going to take all this back." You can't do that. They would be faced with so many lawsuits. It would be ridiculous. All right.
Okay.
And that's why I think personally, they're rushing the Air 3 right now. Okay?
I was going to say, will the Air 3 be the first battleground on this? Do you think it'll be a sticking point trying to get it approved by the FCC?
Well, let me put it to you this way. You're going to see them rocking and rolling over in Shenzhen to get this out ASAP. And I'm going to say this, okay, within the next week or so, we'll probably have an release announcement. And I would say maybe even by June 30th, we're gonna have an official release on the Air 3. This is just speculation on my part, because if they want to try to get this past the FCC, all right, in their normal process, okay, the FCC hasn't done anything yet. So if they can get this past them, they get that out there, all right, and that's a win for them. And then they can fight the other battles coming up. But I think
the way I understand it, I don't know if Bob knows this, but the way I understand this, Stefan, it's not just any other congressperson, whatever. She's a pretty powerful member in her party, a high-ranking one. She may be the type of person that has the pull to pick up the phone and call down to somebody at the FCC and say, "Hey, drag your feet on that approval process."
Yeah, I think she's head of the Ways and Means Committee or part of that, and a co-chair. And when you're on the Ways and Means Committee, that's one of the most powerful ones in the House.
The money.
That's exactly, Bob. That controls almost all the spending here in the United States.
Yeah.
So that's why that is just huge. It's just hugely important. And
everybody
she may have some influence over there at the FCC.
You know, this is something, you know, she's a name. I mean, she's not just like someone from some district in some state. No,
right. She's not somebody just got voted in once and still left behind her here. She's
been there multiple times. Okay. Yeah. And again, it doesn't matter Republican or Democrat here. Okay. It matters about their influence and their power. And, you know, and if they can try to slow the things down, but I don't think they'll slow this down. Okay. I think they're going to get this past them. I think it's going to come out. We're going to see. It's going to be lightning fast, guys. I mean, I'm seriously. I'm gonna hold on to your seatbelts because Igor's put out some stuff. We're going to see more probably this week. I would imagine the full-on box was like the UPC and the whole 9 yards and the specs and everything.
So don't make any major purchases in the next couple of weeks. You may need that money.
Nope.
Hey, I'm going to bow out, guys. Thank you.
Bob, thanks so much for stopping by. Appreciate it.
Real good. My wife said to say hello. She's going to New Orleans tomorrow, and I got to go have dinner. Okay.
All right, enjoy your dinner. All right. You said hello.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care, Bob. Thanks a lot.
So Bill, I'm thinking that if you're on the fence about this Air 3, you better grab it because it may be your last DJI drone for a while.
Yeah, exactly. And I was telling this to my son-in-law when I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and I said, you know what? I said, you better get your drones here because there's a lot of things stirring in the pot right now, and it's it's not good news. Okay, it's just not good news. But I think Marcus had a good point with Hayes' article. Is that this isn't. I don't really think this is going to go anywhere because they've tried this several times and it's stalled out and it really just didn't get any momentum and pick up.
Bill, to your point, I think we have way, way more to worry about on the local level than we do on the national level. I think the state bans, we're seeing them happen, right? So is the next step that, Florida says, hey, we don't want any DJI drones taken off in our state. And if you're caught flying one, that's the kind of stuff that I think is probably scarier.
I know nitpicking here, but you talk about people having information. Okay, now the states, we'll say Florida, but everybody copied Florida's bill, so I'm going to only refer to the Florida bill. Okay, now the people in Florida that outlawed DJI, they outlawed Autel and all the other Chinese drones too. That's correct, right?
I don't know, Ron.
Bill, right? In Florida, all Chinese drones are outlawed for enterprise, right? Okay.
Yeah, so they have to purchase drones that are
not
made
they're
in
working
China.
on different information than Stefanik is, because Stefanik thinks that only DJI is working with the Chinese military, where Florida and the other states that have the same bill, they think all the Chinese companies are working with the Chinese military. So they must be, if they're getting this off actual data, they have different data.
And I'm going to say this. In my opinion, I think this is more of an issue than this bill introduced by at least Stefanik. Okay, because this is for first responders. This is saving lives. Okay, and I think the urgency of this needs to be pursued. Well, and I'm going to say a side note here. Okay, they have really ramped up lately, and I mean as of the last couple of weeks. Okay, highway safety awareness slowing down in the state of Florida. Okay. Mm-hmm. We're having an epidemic here in this state that is just out of control. We're having illegal street racing during the day. Okay. Oh. And somebody 2 weeks ago, right by us, got killed, not too far from where we live. We have a 6-lane US 301 goes by us, and it has been nicknamed Mad Max Thunderdome. Okay. Uh-oh. Because I mean, it's just like there are no rules on that road. And one of the things that they've done is the state of Florida has overdeveloped in some areas, and we're an area where it's overdeveloped. I mean, it's a 6-lane U.S. highway. It's not a interstate, but it's a 6-lane U.S. highway, and it's still during rush hour, it's congested. I mean, that tells you they've built too much up in this area. And the other part of the problem is what they've done is they put in left-hand turns. There have been so many fatal accidents because of these people trying to make a left-hand turn on the 6-lane highway. I mean, they have cutoffs and everything for them, but people are chancing it and going out there. There was a guy
left-hand turns. Yeah,
and it's stupid. I mean, it's just absolutely stupid. I know this is a rabbit trail here, but still, it's in the state of Florida. They're starting to push, trying to drive safe. And I said, well, you know what? That cat's out of the bag here. And I say my prayers for my wife and I whenever we drive that road. Because it's in our county, it's listed as the worst road in our county for accidents, and there's a reason why. But yeah, this whole thing with a state ban. Okay, I think that's something we need to focus on right now and try to find out what in the world's going on. Because this is costing us here in the state of Florida $25 million to the taxpayers. We're going to have to foot that bill. And I'm not real crazy about that, especially when you have drones out there, the calibers of a Matrice with thermal imaging that can find people who are lost. Okay. Just for starters.
That new Autel Max seems like an incredible enterprise drone for the
exactly. Yeah. And the whole thing, it's just, I don't know. Like I said, it doesn't add up. It smells like, I'll never forget. My dad had a saying, it smells like day old fish left on the counter overnight. Okay. which doesn't smell too doggone good. So,
yeah, I mean, basically people got on us last night. Well, why you defending DJI? And I don't know if we're defending DJI so much as the basic rights of the that we know you're innocent until proven guilty, and we're just waiting to see that that evidence that shows that like a newspaper article. What you got it, who, when, where, how, or whatever. The basics you have to know in the story. Okay, we know the who, the DJI, we know the where in China, but we don't know the when and how. When did this data harvest? When did it happen? Who was involved? We don't have any specifics.
Like I always say, the smoking gun. Where is the smoking gun?
I agree. Marcus.
And what I would like to see in any of these bills is something that explains, okay, how is this data harming the United States? Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that DJI has all of our data from all of our flights. The part that I still don't understand is, how does it harm us?
Yeah,
right.
How is it such a grave threat to us, as opposed to, like we've all talked about before, TikTok and our cell phones and everything else?
I mean, just like we have like China has spies over here. We have spies in China. We probably know exactly what's happening. Well, not exactly, but we probably have a good idea what's happening between the Chinese military and DJI, because there's spies over there, and so we probably have a decent idea of what's going on. But not probably enough that if it was happening, in any real sense, that they could report back some facts.
Yeah. It's just okay. And USA Drone Flyer Captain Joe America here. Marco Rubio sent a letter to USCP Chief Thomas J. Manager demanding the USCP immediately stop using Chinese drones for any and all USCP activities due to their significant national security risk.
What is the USCP?
That's a good question. Captain Joe, put that down. I was going to say United States.
We know what the US stands for. What about the CP?
The CP is the part that I'm not sure. Yeah.
I thought maybe Coast Guard, but that doesn't add up there. But yeah, this is a to be continued kind of a deal here. And I think it's something that we need to pay attention to. I think that House bill is going to die. I don't think that's going to go anywhere.
Do you think Stephan's already hearing some pressure? And I know, for instance, like if you're like, she's a congressman in New York in her district, if she's getting any emails or whatever from people not in her district, they're probably not that important to her. So probably we'd be better off to contact our local representatives where we live and have them put the kibosh on the bill when it comes across or whatever, because she doesn't care what somebody in Idaho or New Jersey thinks. We're not helping her get reelected or unelected, or we're not voting for her rival, whatever. But our own representatives, they probably would listen to us more.
Oh, I agree 100%, Ron.
Yeah. So Captain Joe is saying the Capitol Police.
United States Capitol Police. Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Captain Joe. That's good. Thank you. Okay. Well, this is a to be continued. I mean, we're gonna hear lots more of this coming up, and like I said, guys, be on the lookout for Igor's account on Twitter, because I think we're gonna see much more stuff coming out this week on this. I think.
Bill, do you think what we heard initially, that the drone could possibly come out the end of June? Do you think we're on that timeline, an end of June release, or at least the end of June announcement?
Okay, I got a question for Bill.
Okay,
so I think we've already figured out that there's going to be 2 cameras on that gimbal, right?
Somebody said last night 3 cameras.
Well, at least two, more than one.
Yeah.
So the other than the main camera, what's that secondary camera going to be, Bill? Is it going to be a telephoto, a wide angle, a vertical? What's it going to be?
Here's my guess, and this is just a guess. I'm thinking it's going to be vertical because of everything with Instagram and TikTok and all the other apps, and now Facebook Shorts that uses that. I think it's going to be vertical. Is what I think it's going to be.
I'm kind of thinking the same thing. We'll see. It'll be fun to see.
Because that gimbal looks too big to turn over, that vertical thing will be mounted vertically on the thing, so the gimbal doesn't have to flip.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, well, guys, any closing thoughts before we wrap things up here?
Just that I'm sorry if whatever anybody disagreed on my thoughts or was offended by anything I said about this whole bill and spying and so on. Just my opinion. It's not meant to be taken all that seriously. We are basically an entertainment show here, so please don't get offended by any of my opinions or comments tonight. Marcus?
Right back at you, Ron.
Yeah, and I have to say the same thing. What we say right here, it's just our thoughts, it's our opinions, it's our ideas. None of this is, none of this is concrete. None of this is, we're as they say, we're spitballing here. Okay. We don't really know the whole story. We don't really know everything that's going on. We're just offering some educated guesses, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And I know you guys have them too, and realize we're all and I'm going to tell you, for everyone that's in the chat right now, we're all on the same page. Okay. We love this hobby. Okay. I personally think it's the best hobby out there next to ham radio. We have a blast. We enjoy ourselves. We have a good time. We have fun with this. And I want the fun to continue. Okay. And I think Ron and Marcus are totally 100% in agreement. And I know all you guys are too.
Yeah. And I don't want to just fly Scudio.
You're going to have fun till her daddy takes the T-Bird away.
Question of the day. What did you think of USA to ban all DJI drones? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, it's a great day to fly.